Leo pushed his cleaning cart. He was a janitor at Apex Innovations. He had worked there for 10 years. He took pride in his clean uniform. Whispers filled the office today. Everyone looked toward the entrance. A brand new, midnight blue luxury car sat outside. It took up 2 spots. It gleamed, looking expensive and perfect. Mr. Harrison, a security guard, approached Leo. Mr. Harrison said, "That's Miss Bella's new car." Leo, "Just arrived." Miss Bella, the CEO. Her name alone brought a chill. She was known for being sharp and demanding. She expected flawless work. The glass doors opened. Miss Bella entered. She was tall and elegant. Her suit was perfect. Managers followed her, looking nervous. Miss Bella stopped near the entrance. Her gaze swept the lobby. Then, her eyes found Leo, with his cart. He felt a shiver. "Miss Bella said, "Ah, Leo, just the man I wanted to see." Her voice was clear and cutting. It silenced the whispers. Leo stood straighter. Leo said, "Good afternoon, Miss Bella." Miss Bella walked closer, her eyes fixed on him. Miss Bella said, "Leo, I have a little task for you today. A simple one." She paused. "You see my new car outside?" Leo glanced at the car. Leo said, "Yes, Miss Bella. It's impressive." Miss Bella gave a short, humorless laugh. Miss Bella said, "Impressive, indeed. This car needs to be parked perfectly, every day, in my spot. Not a wheel out of line, not a millimeter off." She paused. Miss Bella said, "My driver called in sick. I don't trust anyone else here to do it right." Miss Bella said, "But you, Leo, you are always so precise with your cleaning. Perhaps you have a hidden talent for parking?" Leo's stomach tightened. He was a janitor. This felt like a trap. Miss Bella said, "Here's the deal, Leo. Park my car every day this week. If you do it without a single scratch, a single flaw." Her voice dropped slightly. "I will give you a raise. A substantial one." A gasp rippled through the onlookers. "A raise for the janitor?" Miss Bella then added, her voice turning hard. "But if you fail, if you scratch my car, your job here will be over. Immediately. And you will pay for all damages. Do we understand each other, Leo?" The silence that followed was heavy. The stakes were huge. Leo's job was on the line. Leo looked at the car. He looked at Miss Bella's unblinking eyes. He felt the weight of every gaze. He had no choice. Leo said, "Yes, Miss Bella, I understand." Miss Bella's smile widened. Miss Bella said, "Excellent. The keys are on my desk. Don't disappoint me, Leo." She turned and walked away, her managers quickly following. The lobby remained silent. Leo was just a janitor. He had to park that car perfectly, or lose everything. Leo walked down the long, silent hallway. The polished marble reflected his nervous face. Miss Bella's office door was slightly ajar. He pushed it open slowly. The room was huge. A large, dark wood desk sat in the center. Bookshelves filled with important-looking books lined the walls. Expensive art hung everywhere. On the desk, next to a stack of neat papers, lay a single car key. It gleamed under the soft office lights. It looked heavy. It felt like a symbol of the huge task ahead. Leo picked up the key. His hand trembled slightly. This was more than just a car key. It was the key to his family's future. It was the key to his job. He left the office, making sure the door clicked shut quietly. He walked back through the silent lobby. He could feel eyes on him. The few remaining staff members watched him. They whispered behind their hands. He knew they were wondering if he would succeed. He knew they were expecting him to fail. He stepped out into the cool evening air. The luxury car sat waiting. It looked even bigger, even more perfect, now. It seemed to mock him. Its paint shimmered in the setting sun. He approached the driver's side. He had driven cars before. Of course, his old pickup truck was like a trusted friend. But this car was different. It felt like a living thing, a sleek, powerful beast. He opened the door. The interior smelled of new leather. The dashboard was a confusing array of screens and buttons. He felt a sudden wave of doubt. What if he accidentally hit something? What if he couldn't even start it? He slid into the driver's seat. It was soft and supportive. He adjusted the seat. He felt too low. He adjusted it again. He needed to see perfectly. Every angle mattered. Every corner. He put the key into the ignition. He turned it. The engine purred to life. It was a soft, powerful sound. The car felt alive. He looked around. The parking lot was mostly empty now. Miss Bella's spot was clearly marked. It was an end spot, but it was narrow. It had a concrete pillar on one side and a low curb on the other. It was designed for precise parking. He gripped the steering wheel. His hands felt sweaty. He put the car in reverse. He gently pressed the accelerator. The car moved backward. It was so smooth, so quiet. It felt like it barely touched the ground. He remembered his driving lessons. Look over your shoulder. Check your mirrors. Go slow. Be smooth. These words came back to him. He focused. He tried to ignore the fear. He backed out of the 2 spots the car currently occupied. He moved it carefully. He began to turn. He aimed for Miss Bella's spot. This was his first test. He had to show Miss Bella he wasn't just a janitor. He had to show her he could do this. Not for her, but for himself and for his family. He slowly, carefully guided the car. He imagined a perfect line. He watched the mirrors. He looked over his shoulder. He felt every inch of the car. He could hear his own breathing. It was loud in the quiet car. He brought the car almost to a stop. He was halfway in the spot. He adjusted his angle. A little to the left. A little more. He eased the car back. He checked the side mirrors. He wanted the car to be perfectly centered. The tires had to be exactly inside the lines. No part of the car could be over the line. He pulled forward just a bit. Then he backed up again. He was almost there. He knew this was just the first time. He had to do this every day. And he had to do it perfectly every time. This was more than parking. This was a battle of wills. And Leo had just stepped onto the battlefield. Leo's heart thumped in his chest. He was now just inches from the final position. He held his breath. He slowly eased the luxury car backward. He focused on the parking lines. He wanted to make sure the tires were perfectly within the white paint. The car edged back, smooth as silk. The back tires were almost there. He stopped. He put the car in park. He looked in the rearview mirror. The concrete pillar was close, but not too close. He looked at the side mirror. The curb was there, but he had cleared it. He looked ahead. The car was straight, perfectly straight. He turned off the engine. The sudden silence was heavy. He let out a long breath. He felt a mix of relief and exhaustion. He had done it. The first time. He opened the car door. He stepped out. He walked around the car slowly. He checked every side. He knelt down to look at the tires. They were indeed perfectly within the lines. Not a millimeter over. The car was centered in the spot. No part of it stuck out. It was a flawless parking job. He stood back and looked at the car. It looked magnificent, sitting perfectly in its designated space. For a moment, he felt a flicker of pride. He, Leo, the janitor, had parked Miss Bella's $1 million car. And he had done it perfectly. He pulled his old cell phone from his pocket. He took a quick picture of the parked car. Just in case. He knew Miss Bella. She might try to say it wasn't perfect. He needed proof. He walked back towards his cleaning cart. It was still in the lobby. He felt a strange sense of victory. But he also knew this was just the beginning. He had to do this every day this week. He thought about Miss Bella. What was she trying to prove? Did she truly believe he could park the car? Or did she just want to humiliate him? He leaned towards the latter. Miss Bella enjoyed power games. She enjoyed watching people squirm. But why him? Why pick the janitor? Perhaps because he was the least likely person to succeed. If he failed, it would prove her point about incompetence. If he, by some miracle, succeeded, she could claim she saw his hidden potential. It was a win-win for her, either way. As he collected his cleaning supplies, a strange thought came to him. He remembered his father. His father had been a mechanic. He had taught Leo about cars, about precision. His father always said, "A good mechanic knows every part of the car, Leo. He knows how it moves, how it breathes." Leo hadn't used that knowledge in years. Not like this. He started pushing his cart again. The lobby was now completely empty. The security guard had left. Only Leo remained. He had his usual work to finish. The floors still needed polishing. The trash still needed emptying. He finished his shift much later. He was tired. His shoulders ached. But there was a new resolve in his step. He had faced Miss Bella's challenge. He had met it, and he had won the first round. He drove home in his old pickup. The ride was bumpy and loud. It was a stark contrast to the quiet luxury of Miss Bella's car. He thought about his wife, Maria. He thought about his daughter, Elena. They were his reason. They were why he would not fail. He would park that car perfectly every single day. He would get that raise. He would not let Miss Bella win this game. Leo walked into his small home. The smell of his wife Maria's cooking filled the air. It was a comforting smell, a stark contrast to the cold, sterile air of Apex Innovations. His daughter, Elena, was at the kitchen table, drawing. She looked up and smiled. Elena was 10. Her smile was the light of Leo's life. Maria looked at him. Maria said, "You're late, mi amor. Is everything okay?" Her eyes held a gentle worry. Leo tried to smile. He didn't want to tell her about Miss Bella's cruel game yet. Not until he knew he could win. Leo said, "Just a busy day, Querida. Big meeting for Miss Bella, I suppose." He washed his hands. At dinner, Elena chattered about her school day. Maria talked about her work at the local bakery. Leo listened, but his mind kept going back to the luxury car. He could still feel the smooth leather of the steering wheel. He could still see the parking lines in his mind. After Elena was asleep, Leo finally told Maria. He told her about Miss Bella, the car, the raise, and the threat. Maria listened quietly. Her face grew serious. Maria said, "Leo, this is not fair. She is playing with your life." Leo said, "I know, Maria, but what choice do I have? If I refuse, I lose my job. If I try, I at least have a chance at the raise. And if I lose, I still lose my job. I have to try." Maria sighed. She took his hand. Maria said, "You are a good man, Leo. You are careful. You are precise. You can do this. I believe in you." Her words were a comfort. They gave him strength. The next morning, Leo arrived at Apex Innovations earlier than usual. He had his cleaning supplies ready. He also had a new focus. He walked into Miss Bella's office. The key was exactly where he left it. He went to the parking lot. The car was still there, perfectly parked from yesterday. He opened the door. He got in. He started the engine. He backed it out. This time, he was a little more confident. He knew how the car handled. He remembered the feeling of its smooth power. He drove it around the lot once, just to get a feel for it. Then, he parked it back in the visitor's spot where Miss Bella usually left it in the mornings. This was her routine. She would drive it from home, park it there. Then later, Leo would move it to her perfect spot. He checked the visitor's spot parking. It was a simpler park, but he still made it perfect. He wanted no room for error. He wanted Miss Bella to see perfection from the start. He then went about his regular cleaning duties. He polished the floors. He emptied the trash. But his mind was on the car. He imagined the afternoon. He imagined Miss Bella watching him. The day passed slowly. When late afternoon came, Leo felt the familiar tension return. He walked to Miss Bella's office. The key was there. He took it. He went to the parking lot. Miss Bella was already there. She stood by her car. Her hands were crossed. Her face gave nothing away. A few managers stood nearby, pretending to look at their phones, but clearly watching. Leo approached the car. He could feel Miss Bella's eyes on him. He took a deep breath. He opened the driver's door. He got in. He started the engine. He was ready for round two. He would not fail. Leo backed the car out of the visitor's spot. Miss Bella watched him. Her expression was unreadable. He could feel the manager's stares too. He ignored them. He focused only on the car. He focused on the lines of the parking space. He drove the car slowly towards Miss Bella's special spot. He used the same careful movements as yesterday. He remembered every detail. The angle of the turn, the distance from the pillar, the closeness of the curb. He began the reverse maneuver. He looked in the mirrors. He looked over his shoulder. The car slid back smoothly. He brought it to a slow stop. He was almost exactly where he wanted to be. He pulled forward slightly. He adjusted the steering wheel a tiny bit. Then he backed up again. He felt the tires settle into place. He stopped. He put the car in park. He turned off the engine. He opened the door and stepped out. He walked around the car. He checked it from every angle. His movements were calm and slow. He checked the tires against the lines. Perfect. Exactly in place. He walked to the front. Perfect. He walked to the back. Perfect. He looked at Miss Bella. She was still watching him. Her face was still unreadable. Miss Bella said, "Well, Leo, it seems you have a knack for this." Her voice was flat. It gave no praise. It gave no criticism. Leo simply nodded. He didn't want to gloat. He just wanted to do his job. He knew her kind of praise was often a trick. Miss Bella said, "Very well. The keys are on my desk as usual tomorrow." She turned and walked away. The managers quickly followed her. They seemed surprised. They had expected a show. They had expected Leo to fail. Leo felt a small sense of relief. Another day done. Another day he had met the challenge. He pulled out his phone. He took another picture, just like yesterday. Proof. The rest of the week followed a similar pattern. Every morning, Leo would move Miss Bella's car to a temporary spot. Every afternoon, under her watchful eye, he would park it perfectly in her designated spot. Each day, Miss Bella would appear. Each day, she would watch him. Each day, he would park the car without a single flaw. And each day, she would give him the same flat, emotionless acknowledgement. "Very well, Leo." The managers started to change their tune. They still watched, but their whispers were different. They no longer expected him to fail. Now, they seemed curious. How did he do it? How did a janitor become such a perfect parker? Leo didn't think about it much. He just focused. He focused on the car. He focused on the lines. He focused on the job. He knew the car now. He understood its size, its turning radius. It was no longer a beast. It was a tool. A very expensive tool. On Friday afternoon, the final day of the challenge arrived. Leo walked to Miss Bella's office. He took the key. He went to the parking lot. Miss Bella was already there. She was not alone. Mr. Harrison, the security guard, was there, and several other high-level executives. This was clearly a big moment. Leo felt a surge of adrenaline. This was it, the final test. He took a deep breath. He would not fail. Not now. Not on the last day. He would show them all. He would show Miss Bella. He would get his raise. For Maria. For Elena. For himself. He opened the car door. Leo sat in the driver's seat of the luxury car. He started the engine. The powerful purr was familiar now. He looked at Miss Bella. Her face was still and watchful. The other executives and Mr. Harrison stood silently behind her. They were all waiting. He backed the car out of the temporary spot. He drove it slowly towards Miss Bella's designated parking space. He felt calm. He had done this many times now. He knew what to do. He began the parking maneuver. He looked in the mirrors. He turned the steering wheel. The car moved backward with a quiet hum. He kept his speed low. His movements were fluid, precise. He watched the lines in the mirror. He watched the pillar. He watched the curb. He guided the car as if it were an extension of his own body. Every turn of the wheel was perfect. Every slight press of the pedal was measured. He brought the car to a stop. It was exactly where it needed to be. He put the car in park. He turned off the engine. He took a slow, deep breath. He opened the door. He stepped out. He walked around the car one last time. He checked every detail. The tires were perfectly within the lines. The car was centered. There was no doubt. It was a flawless parking job, just like every other day this week. He turned to face Miss Bella. She slowly walked towards the car. Her eyes scanned every inch of it. She walked around the front. She looked at the sides. She bent down to check the tires. She ran a gloved hand along the fender. She was searching for a flaw, any flaw. The executives watched her. They held their breath. Mr. Harrison looked on, a small, hopeful expression on his face. Miss Bella straightened up. She looked at Leo. Her expression was still unreadable. She paused for a long moment. The silence was absolute. Miss Bella said, "Leo, you have indeed parked my car perfectly, every single day this week." Her voice was still flat. It lacked warmth, but it also lacked anger. Leo felt a wave of relief. He had done it. Miss Bella said, "As promised, you will receive a substantial raise. Human Resources will contact you Monday with the details." The executives murmured quietly. Mr. Harrison smiled. Leo felt a surge of quiet triumph. He had won. Miss Bella then said, "However." Leo's heart sank. He knew it. There was always a however with Miss Bella. Miss Bella continued, her voice now colder. "However, Leo, this challenge was not just about parking. It was about something else entirely." Leo looked at her, confused. What could she mean? He had only focused on parking. Miss Bella said, "You see, Leo, for the past month, we have had a serious problem at Apex Innovations. Sensitive documents have been going missing. Information has been leaked. We suspected an inside job." The executives looked shocked. Leo felt a chill. This had nothing to do with him. Or did it? Miss Bella said, "My new car, Leo, was not just a luxury vehicle. It was a test. A very specific test." She walked to the passenger side of the car. She opened the door. She reached inside. She pulled out a small, almost invisible device. It was thin and flat. It had a tiny blinking light. Miss Bella said, "This, Leo, is a high-tech surveillance device. It records video and audio." It was hidden inside the passenger side door panel. It was designed to detect anyone tampering with the vehicle or anyone with unusual access to it. She looked directly at Leo. "Miss Bella said, for the past week, while you were parking my car, this device was active. It was recording everything." Leo stared at the device. His mind raced. What was she talking about? What did this have to do with him? He had just been parking the car. Miss Bella said, "And last night, Leo, this device recorded something very interesting indeed. It recorded someone attempting to disable it. Someone who thought they were very clever." She held up the device. Miss Bella said, "The problem is, Leo, the person who tried to disable it was you." A stunned silence fell over the parking lot. The executives gasped. Mr. Harrison's face dropped. Leo felt a cold dread spread through him. His mind reeled. Disable the device? Him? It was a lie. Leo said, "Miss Bella, that's not true. I never touched any device. I only parked your car." His voice was shaky. He felt accused. He felt cornered. Miss Bella's eyes narrowed. Her face was hard. Miss Bella said, "Don't lie to me, Leo. We have it all on video. High-definition video. You clearly reached into the passenger door panel. You clearly tried to disable this device. What do you have to say for yourself?" The accusation hung heavy in the air. Leo felt panic rising. This was far worse than losing his job. This was about his reputation, his freedom. He was being framed. But why? He tried to think. Last night. What did he do last night? He had gone home. He had dinner. He told Maria. He slept. He came back this morning. He never touched the passenger door panel. He only opened the driver's door. Wait. He remembered something. A small detail. It was so small, he hadn't even thought about it. He had parked the car yesterday, Thursday afternoon. He had done his usual check around the car. He remembered seeing a tiny piece of plastic sticking out from the passenger door panel. It was barely visible. He thought it was just a loose piece from the car's interior. A bit of trim. He was a janitor. He noticed little things out of place. It was his job. He had reached in. He had pushed it back into place. He thought he was helping. He thought he was making the car look perfect, just like Miss Bella wanted. He never suspected it was a device. He never tried to disable it. He was just being tidy, Leo said. Miss Bella, I swear I didn't try to disable anything. Yesterday afternoon, when I was checking the car after parking it, I saw a small piece of plastic sticking out from the passenger door panel. I thought it was just loose trim. I pushed it back in. That's all I did. I was just making sure your car was perfect. Miss Bella stared at him. Her eyes were piercing. She seemed to be searching his face for any sign of a lie. The executives looked at each other, confused. Miss Bella said, "A piece of plastic? You pushed it back in? That's your story?" Her tone was full of disbelief. Leo nodded, desperate for her to understand. Leo said, "Yes, Miss Bella. I was just cleaning. I was making sure everything was neat. I had no idea it was a device." Mr. Harrison, who had been silent, stepped forward. Mr. Harrison said, "Miss Bella, if I may, Leo is a very honest man, and he is incredibly meticulous. He often fixes small things he sees out of place, even if it's not strictly his job. He sees it as keeping the property in order." Miss Bella looked at Mr. Harrison. Then she looked back at Leo. She still looked doubtful. Miss Bella said, "A likely story. But let's see. You say you just pushed it back in. You didn't try to pull it out? To pry it open?" Leo said, "No, Miss Bella. Just pushed it in. It was loose." Miss Bella held up the device again. She pressed a tiny button. A red light came on. Miss Bella said, "This device is designed to be almost impossible to turn off without specific tools. Any attempt to tamper with it would leave a clear mark. Even pushing it in or pulling it out incorrectly would leave damage." She looked at the device carefully. She ran her finger over its edge. She turned it over. She looked at the blinking light. Then, she looked up. Her eyes, for the first time, held a hint of something other than suspicion, a hint of surprise. Miss Bella said, "There are no marks, no scratches, no damage to the device itself. It looks perfectly fine." She paused. A new thought seemed to be forming in her mind. Miss Bella said, "But the video clearly showed you reaching for it. You claimed you just pushed it back in. If that is true, then it means something else entirely." The tension in the air shifted. It was no longer just about Leo's guilt. It was about something deeper, something more mysterious. Miss Bella looked at the device, then back at Leo. Miss Bella said, "Tell me, Leo, when you pushed it in, did you feel anything unusual? Did it feel loose? Or was it firmly attached?" Leo thought back. He remembered the feeling. Leo said, "It felt loose, Miss Bella. Very loose. As if it had just been placed there. Not properly secured." Miss Bella's eyes widened slightly. She looked at the device. Then she looked at her car. A slow, dawning realization spread across her face. Miss Bella said, "Loose? Not properly secured? That's impossible. This device was installed by a professional. It was meant to be permanent. Unless—" She stopped. Her gaze sharpened. She looked not at Leo, but past him, towards the executives. "Miss," Bella said, "unless someone else recently removed it and then put it back poorly. Someone who didn't want it to be found." A new chill ran through Leo. This was no longer about him. This was about exposing a real culprit. And he, the janitor, had just become a key witness. Miss Bella's gaze swept over the small group of executives. They shifted uncomfortably. Their faces, once curious or sneering, now held a mix of fear and confusion. "Miss," Bella said, "Mr. Davies, you are head of security, after Mr. Harrison. You oversaw the installation of this device, did you not?" Mr. Davies, a man in a sharp suit, cleared his throat. He looked nervous. Mr. Davies said, "Yes, Miss Bella. I did. The technicians assured me it was fully secured. Impossible to remove without a special tool." Miss Bella held up the device again. "Miss," Bella said, "and yet, Leo, a man whose only tool is a dust rag, managed to push it back in because it was loose. How do you explain that, Mr. Davies?" Mr. Davies visibly swallowed. Mr. Davies said, I don't know, Miss Bella. Perhaps a faulty installation?" He avoided her eyes. Miss Bella's smile, the cruel shark's smile, returned. But this time, it was directed not at Leo, but at Mr. Davies. Miss Bella said, "Faulty? Or perhaps someone times it, examined it, and then put it back poorly, thinking it wouldn't be noticed? Someone who didn't want the device to capture something important?" The air was thick with unspoken accusations. Leo felt like he was in a movie. The executives looked at Mr. Davies with suspicion. Miss Bella turned back to Leo. Her voice softened slightly, a hint of respect entering it. Miss Bella said, "Leo, the footage from last night clearly shows you reaching into the panel. It also shows a distinct moment where the device's recording paused, then restarted. It looked like someone was trying to reset it. But your explanation of just pushing it back into place actually makes sense. Now that I look at the device, if it was loose, it might have briefly lost connection." She paused. Her eyes scanned the car, then the executives. Miss Bella said, "The problem, Mr. Davies, is that the leak of sensitive information stopped exactly when this device was installed. And it only resumed last night, after the device had been, shall we say, tampered with." Mr. Davies's face went pale. He was trapped. Miss Bella said, "Now, Leo, when you saw this piece of plastic sticking out, was it before or after you heard anything unusual, or saw anyone near my car?" Leo thought hard. He remembered cleaning the lobby late last night. After everyone had left, he remembered coming back to the car one last time before going home, just to make sure it was okay. Leo said, "Miss Bella, I cleaned the lobby until late last night. Everyone had left. I came out to check on the car before I went home. That's when I saw the loose piece of plastic. I didn't see anyone near the car." But he hesitated. He wasn't sure if this was important. Miss Bella said, "But what, Leo? Speak plainly." Leo said, "Before I saw the plastic, when I was still cleaning inside, I heard a car. It was driving away very fast. I thought it was just someone leaving late. It sounded like a luxury car, like this one." He pointed at Miss Bella's car. Miss Bella's eyes widened. She glanced at Mr. Davies. Miss Bella said, "Mr. Davies, you were the last executive to leave last night, according to the security log. And you drive a car very similar to mine, do you not?" Mr. Davies stammered, Mr. Davies said, I was just leaving, Miss Bella. I had some late work. Miss Bella's voice dropped. It was icy cold. Miss Bella said, and you would have had full access to the security footage, wouldn't you, Mr. Davies? You could have deleted or altered it. But you didn't think to check the device itself, did you? You assumed anyone tampering with it would be caught trying to disable it permanently. She held up the device again. Miss Bella said, you removed this device, Mr. Davies. You examined it. You put it back, but poorly. And Leo, in his meticulous nature, simply pushed it back into place, causing it to briefly pause its recording, confirming your attempt to tamper. You thought Leo was trying to disable it, but in fact, he was just being a good janitor. He fixed your sloppy mistake. Mr. Davies stood frozen. His face was a mask of guilt. The other executives stared. Mr. Harrison looked grim. Miss Bella said, Mr. Davies, you are fired, and you will be facing charges for corporate espionage. Mr. Harrison, please escort Mr. Davies to his office to collect his belongings, then off the premises. Secure his company phone and laptop. Mr. Harrison nodded, his face stern. He moved towards Mr. Davies. Mr. Davies looked defeated. He offered no resistance. Miss Bella watched them go. Then, she turned back to Leo. Her face was no longer cold. It was thoughtful, respectful. Miss Bella said, Leo, I owe you an apology. And I owe you more than just a raise. She looked at the perfectly parked car. Then she looked at Leo. Miss Bella said, you didn't just park my car, Leo. You saved my company. And you uncovered a traitor. Thank you. The quiet janitor had just become a hero. Leo felt a warmth spread through him. Miss Bella had apologized, and she had thanked him. It was a rare thing. He had not expected it. He had only expected to save his job. He had done much more. The remaining executives looked at Leo with new eyes, no longer with scorn or even just curiosity. Now, there was respect. Some even nodded to him as they quietly dispersed. Miss Bella still stood before him. The setting sun cast long shadows across the parking lot. Miss Bella said, Leo, come to my office first thing Monday morning. We need to discuss your new role. Leo was surprised. New role? He was a janitor. Leo said, my new role, Miss Bella? Miss Bella said, indeed. A janitor who can park $1 million car perfectly under pressure and uncover corporate espionage is not just a janitor. Leo, you have an eye for detail. You have integrity. You have a calmness under pressure that many of my executives lack. We need people like you at Apex. Leo was speechless. His mind raced. This was unexpected. This was huge. Miss Bella said, go home, Leo. Enjoy your weekend, and congratulations on your well-deserved raise. She turned and walked towards her car. She paused at the driver's side. She looked at the perfectly parked car. She looked at Leo again. A small, genuine smile touched her lips. A real smile this time. Miss Bella said, and Leo? Thank you for fixing my car. She got in and drove away. Leo stood alone in the parking lot. The sun had set. The air grew colder, but Leo felt warm inside. He had not only won the challenge, he had won back his dignity. He had shown Miss Bella, and himself, that he was more than just a janitor. He walked to his old pickup truck. He drove home. He couldn't wait to tell Maria and Elena. The next 2 days were a blur of excitement. Maria cried tears of joy. Elena drew him a picture of a superhero janitor. Leo felt a sense of hope he hadn't felt in years. Monday morning arrived. Leo wore his cleanest uniform. He had polished his old work boots. He felt nervous, but also excited. He walked into Apex Innovations. The lobby felt different. The air felt lighter. He walked to Miss Bella's office. He knocked on the door. Miss Bella said, come in, Leo. He opened the door. Miss Bella was sitting at her desk. She looked up and smiled, a genuine, warm smile. "Miss," Bella said, "good morning. Leo, please, have a seat." She gestured to a chair opposite her. Leo sat down. He felt small in the big chair. "Miss," Bella said, "Leo, we've reviewed your personnel file. Your performance as a janitor has always been outstanding. Your attention to detail, your reliability, it's all there. But yesterday's events showed us something more. It showed leadership potential, an ability to observe and react, and a deep understanding of what it means to protect this company." She paused. Leo listened intently. Miss Bella said, "So, Leo, we're creating a new position for you. It's called Director of Facility Operations and Security Oversight. You'll be working directly with Mr. Harrison. You'll oversee all building maintenance, and you'll be responsible for keeping an eye on anything unusual. Think of it as a corporate detective role, but also ensuring our physical assets are perfect." Leo's jaw dropped. Director? Security oversight? This was incredible. "Miss," Bella said, "it comes with a significant salary increase, of course, and a company car. Not mine, I promise." She chuckled. "But a very nice one. You'll also have a team reporting to you. And yes, you'll still have full benefits. What do you say, Leo?" Leo was overwhelmed. His eyes welled up slightly. This was everything. This was beyond his wildest dreams. He thought of Maria and Elena. Their lives would change. Leo said, "Miss Bella, I don't know what to say. Thank you. Thank you so much." Miss Bella said, "Don't thank me, Leo. Thank yourself. You earned this. Now, let's get to work. We have a lot to discuss about how we're going to make sure this company is truly secure." Leo smiled. He felt a newfound strength. He felt ready. The quiet janitor had found his voice. He had found his place. Leo walked out of Miss Bella's office feeling like a new man. His heart soared. He had a new title, a new purpose. Director of Facility, Operations and Security, Oversight. It sounded important. At times was times important. He met with Mr. Harrison later that day. Mr. Harrison was genuinely happy for him. "Mr. Harrison said, Leo, I always knew you had more in you. Your eye for detail is unmatched. You'll be a great addition to the security team." Leo learned about his new responsibilities. He would manage the cleaning staff, making sure the building was always pristine. But he would also work closely with Mr. Harrison to identify potential security risks. He would oversee new surveillance systems. He would be the eyes and ears on the ground, just as he always had been, but now with authority and trust. His new office was small but comfortable. It had a window overlooking the city. He sat at his new desk. He looked at the clean, empty surface. It was a fresh start. He pulled out his old phone and looked at the pictures he had taken of Miss Bella's car, perfectly parked. They were no longer just proof. They were a reminder of how far he had come. He thought about the irony. A simple task, parking a car, had led to this. It was Miss Bella's challenge, meant to test or perhaps even break him, that had actually unlocked his true potential. He realized Miss Bella was not just a cold CEO. She was a shrewd leader. She saw past titles. She saw past first impressions. When she saw him, the janitor, doing something with unexpected precision, it made her think. She set a trap for a spy, and Leo, by simply doing his job well, had accidentally revealed the truth. Over the next few weeks, Leo settled into his new role. He found he loved it. He enjoyed working with Mr. Harrison. He enjoyed problem solving. He enjoyed feeling like he was truly contributing to the company, not just cleaning it. He implemented new protocols for checking the building. He trained the cleaning staff to be more observant. He taught them to report anything unusual, no matter how small. He knew from experience that small details could hide big secrets. His family life also changed. Maria was able to work fewer hours at the bakery. Elena was excited about the possibility of new school supplies and perhaps even a trip someday. Leo could finally provide for them in a way he had always dreamed. One afternoon, a few months later, Leo was walking through the lobby. He saw a new janitor, a young man named Carlos, pushing a cart. Carlos looked tired. He looked a bit unsure of himself. Leo remembered his own early days. He remembered feeling invisible. Leo walked over to Carlos. Leo said, "Carlos, good work on the East Wing today. The floors look excellent." Carlos looked up, surprised that the director noticed his work. Carlos said, "Thank you, Mr. Leo." Leo smiled. Leo said, "Just Leo, please." And Carlos, "Always keep your eyes open. Pay attention to the small things. You never know what you might find, or what opportunities might come your way." Carlos nodded, a spark of interest in his eyes. Leo walked on. He felt a deep satisfaction. He had not only changed his own life, but perhaps he could inspire others too. The path from janitor to director was not an easy one, but it showed that true value was not in a job title, but in the person doing the job. He was living proof, and he would never forget where he came from. He would always remember that one perfect park, that one sneering CEO, and the twist that stopped everyone cold. Months passed. Leo thrived in his new role. Apex Innovations was more secure than ever. The leaks had stopped completely. Miss Bella often consulted with Leo directly, valuing his insights and his unmatched observational skills. She trusted him fully. Their relationship, once adversarial, had blossomed into one of mutual respect. One crisp autumn morning, Miss Bella saw Leo supervising the installation of new security cameras in the parking garage. She walked over to him, a slight smile on her face. "Miss Bella said, 'Good morning, Leo. Everything going smoothly?' Leo said, 'Yes, Miss Bella. These new cameras have much clearer resolution. They'll cover all the blind spots.' Miss Bella nodded, then her gaze drifted to her luxury car, which was, as always, parked perfectly in its designated spot. Miss Bella said, 'You know, Leo, I still think about that week. That test.' Leo chuckled. Leo said, 'I do too, Miss Bella. It certainly changed my life.' Miss Bella said, 'It changed mine too, Leo. I was so focused on finding the leak. I thought I had everything figured out. I set a trap for a thief. I never imagined that the key to unlocking the truth would be you and your incredible attention to detail.' She paused, then added, 'And honestly, the sheer audacity of my challenge. It was a risky move, but it paid off in more ways than one.' The memory of that Friday afternoon flashed in Leo's mind. Miss Bella, standing rigid, holding the tiny surveillance device. Her cold accusation, his desperate defense. Miss Bella said, 'The problem is, Leo, the person who tried to disable it was you.' Leo's heart sinking, the dread, the feeling of being trapped. Leo said, 'Miss Bella, that's not true. I never touched any device. I only parked your car.' Then, the sudden realization, the loose piece of plastic. The simple act of tidying up that had changed everything. Leo said, 'Miss Bella, I swear I didn't try to disable anything. Yesterday afternoon, when I was checking the car after parking it, I saw a small piece of plastic sticking out from the passenger door panel. I thought it was just loose trim. I pushed it back in. That's all I did.' Miss Bella's sharp intake of breath, the shift in her eyes, the dawning suspicion, not of Leo, but of someone else. Miss Bella said, 'Loose? Not properly secured? That's impossible. This device was installed by a professional. It was meant to be permanent. Unless,' her gaze turning to Mr. Davies, the traitor, the sudden, swift justice. Miss Bella said, You didn't just park my car, Leo. You saved my company. And you uncovered a traitor. Thank you. The quiet triumph. The offer of a new role. The transformation. Leo smiled, shaking his head slightly at the memory. It had been a whirlwind. Leo said, "It taught me that sometimes the biggest challenges come disguised as the simplest tasks." Miss Bella said, "And that sometimes the most valuable assets are the ones you least expect. Your honesty, your diligence, your silent observation. Those are the things that truly make a difference, Leo." She looked at him with genuine warmth. Miss Bella said, "I'm glad you're part of Apex, Leo. I honestly don't know what I'd do without you now." Leo felt a deep sense of contentment. He had earned this, not with grand gestures, but with quiet dedication. He had faced a powerful woman's sneer and turned it into respect. He had taken a cruel challenge and transformed it into an opportunity. The janitor's twist had indeed stopped everyone cold. It had changed his world. And in a way, it had changed Miss Bella's too. He looked at the new cameras. He looked at the gleaming cars. He looked at the thriving company around him. He was no longer invisible. He was an integral part of it all. A year had passed since Leo became director of facility, operations, and security oversight. Apex Innovations had grown. The company was more successful than ever. The changes Leo helped put in place made the company safer. They also made it a better place to work. Leo walked through the busy offices. He greeted people by name. They greeted him back with smiles and respect. He was no longer the invisible janitor. He was a trusted leader. He was Mr. Leo. He stopped by the cleaning staff's break room. Carlos, the young janitor he had met months ago, was taking a break. Leo said, "Carlos, how are things going?" Carlos smiled. Carlos said, "Very well, Mr. Leo. I saw that loose floor tile on the third floor. Reported it to maintenance. They're fixing it now." Leo nodded, pleased. Leo said, "Excellent, Carlos. That's exactly what I mean. Small details. They matter." Carlos said, "I learned that from you, Mr. Leo. To always pay attention. To not just clean, but to truly see." Leo felt a deep pride. He was not just doing his job. He was building a culture. He was teaching others the value of their work. He was showing them that everyone, no matter their role, could make a difference. His own family life had changed completely. They had moved to a nicer, bigger house. Maria had started her own small business, a catering service. Elena was excelling in school, happy and confident. Leo could finally provide for them without worry. The fear and pressure he once felt were gone. They were replaced by gratitude and a quiet joy. He often thought about Miss Bella. She had been the catalyst for everything. Her sharp challenge had brought out his hidden strengths. Her sternness had pushed him to exceed expectations. Her decision to trust him, despite the evidence, had changed his life forever. He knew she wasn't just cold. She was brilliant. She understood people, even if she rarely showed warmth. She had given him a chance, and he had taken it. One afternoon, Miss Bella called Leo to her office. He entered, a slight nervousness still in him, a habit from his old days. Miss Bella said, "Leo, come in. Have a seat." He sat down. Miss Bella looked at him, a thoughtful expression on her face. Miss Bella said, "Leo, I'm going to be completely honest with you. When I first challenged you to park my car, I did it for two reasons. One, I wanted to find the leak. Two, I wanted to see if anyone in this company, outside of my direct executives, had the kind of precision and resilience I needed." She paused, looking at him intently. Miss Bella said, "I had heard whispers about your meticulous cleaning. I saw your dedication, but I needed a grand gesture, a public test. I needed to see if you would break under pressure or if you would rise." Leo listened, fascinated. He had never known her full intentions. Miss Bella said, "You not only rose, Leo. You soared. You showed me that character and skill are not limited by job titles. You taught me a valuable lesson. That an underdog, with integrity and an observant eye, can be the most powerful force in a company." She smiled. Miss Bella said, "So, Leo, thank you. Thank you for proving me right in my hope and wrong in my initial assumptions. You are truly an asset to Apex Innovations." Leo felt a surge of emotion. This was the ultimate validation. From the woman who had once sneered at him, he now received her highest praise. It wasn't just about the raise or the title anymore. It was about being seen. It was about respect. Leo said, "Thank you, Miss Bella. I'm grateful for the chance you gave me, and I promise I will continue to do my best for Apex." He knew he would. His journey was a testament to the fact that greatness could be found in the most unexpected places, and that a janitor's twist could indeed stop everyone cold and change a life forever.